Hey guys, we are here for the Old Bastards Racing League Truck Series at Charlotte. We're in week 9, the first week of the playoffs. I qualified in 7th, but because my incident per laps was above the limit for the league, we started in the pits. But we had an incident. I recorded the whole race. It was, first half was fairly boring. It was pretty cool at the end. And I went to render the video, and my mic was muted. I normally stream, and in this case, I didn't stream because my buddy Victory Lane Sports was streaming. Go check him out, twitch.tv/Victory Lane Sports. Take the vowels out of it. And so I just recorded it, and I didn't check to make sure my mic was on. And if I was streaming, somebody would have told me in an awful hurry. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to show you the last 10 or so laps from my point of view, because that's what the exciting point was, and then we'll go through the replays, because I know that's what a lot of you guys are looking for. So this is lap what lap is this? Oh, lap 90 of 100, and at this point we're in 16th. So 43 cars started this thing. When you figure that I had to start in the pits, to make it back to this point was a pretty decent accomplishment. So at this point, I see this gaggle of trucks ahead of me, and I was thinking, okay, do I chill? So the 44 there was a lap down. I was thinking, do I chill, or do I bomb it here? And I kind of did a bit of both. I kind of was looking for a gap, but at the same time, I did want to get through this if I could. So, and the thing is, we're gaining like crazy. Now, part of that'll be because they're all too wide. So that's going to slow them down. And part of it was at this point, I was feeling good. So I had the newest tires of everybody. No, sorry, I didn't, because we had to pit for a caution. Okay, so now I'm on top of them, and I'm just sitting here going, okay, well, let's not be silly, but let's see if we can find a way through this. Decided to stay low. I felt like going high would be the slower route. Trace just went up a little bit there, so I thought, okay, I'm gonna stick my nose in there and say hi. Couldn't quite make it. Couldn't hold the couldn't hold the speed and keep it stuck down there. So it's fine. I was finding that a lot of guys were diving it into the corner pretty deep, but then their exit was compromised, and I was finding I was getting a pretty good exit out of it. So here I swung up high and then came down low to get a run. And did I ever get a run? So then I decided, all right, Trace, it's you and I, buddy, let's go. So we took care of Waldo there. And then just kind of slowed it down a little bit to make sure I kept it down low there. Didn't want to come didn't want to come sliding up, wiping everybody out. I've had one magpieing incident. That's enough. Last week. And then, yeah, here we're just gonna kind of stay down here again. Not quite able to keep the speed up and stick it, so it's fine. But at this point, now we're 15th, so we've gained 2 spots. And then still feeling like we're pretty quick. Just looking for a spot here, right? Not trying to force it. Now we got alongside the 111. See ya. Hold it down here, and then hopefully we should be able to put our foot down and get past this. Not quite. Goal is to get him into 3 though. He had some drafting help out there, but no, we're still fighting. Clay drops down. Okay. Again, what I wanted to do was go up high and then cut it down low to get the run, but I couldn't because there was, you know, cars in the way. And then something happens there. And I just went sailing past both of them. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay. Should be 13th when we hit the line, I think. Yeah, so at this point we're 13th, and I'm thinking I've got 0x. We've kept it clean. I'm quite happy to hang out here. And we're on lap 98. So we'll be 2 laps left at the stripe. And I was quite happy to be here. Just stay here. Finish here. I don't know if there's any positions ahead of me. And then the caution comes out, and there's a collective groan from everybody, like, oh man. Led by Josh, who was leading this thing by, I think he had a pretty decent lead, and so now he's thinking we gotta go and restart and have everybody on top of each other. So probably takes the win. Well, it takes what would have been a comfortable win away from him, and it makes it a lot more difficult. We come around, and I make the decision to stay out. The laps at this point, or sorry, the tires at this point were probably... when did we pit before? We'd pitted probably around lap 70-ish. 71. So the tires, we've probably had about 20, a little over 20 racing laps on these things. So I was like, you know what? Let's just go track position. There's that age-old issue of you don't want to be the last guy in old tires. But I just was feeling like, let's stay up here. Let's go for track position. And I mean, given my position in the league as well, I was like, we're rolling the dice. Hell with it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. We're not in the chase. We're not in anything. So we decided to stay out. Couple guys go in. Just gonna keep this up for a sec. So by staying out, now we're 10th. Lucky Dog goes bombing by. And at this point, I started having some internet issues, although it looks like... Yeah, I'm starting to see this stuff happening. And I was looking up at my... Right here, at my quality. My latency was like in the 130s, which is fine. But my quality was starting to dip down to like 60-ish. And I was sitting there thinking, and so at some point, I asked... so left side shows simulation network receive quality. Right, is race servers receive quality for your connection. So percentage of package received. Yeah, so if I'm down in the 60s, it's only getting like that percent of my packets. So I see the flashing going on up here, and I'm looking up here, and at one point I asked the car behind me, am I blinking? Because I saw the field starting to disappear a little bit. I saw this dropping down, and so I was concerned that we might be in a spot where our connection might be going. Like this kept on happening, right? So yeah, and I'm thinking, to me, that's probably me. That's if the whole field's disappearing, that's probably me that's the issue. But I had Waldo behind me, I think. And I asked, and he's like, no, I mean, you haven't blinked for me. So I was like, okay, maybe we're fine. So I don't look fine. But the other thing was my what's this? The graphics and the rendering, that's what they are. They were getting pretty peaked as well. So I was a little concerned here. And yeah, because I didn't want to start blinking and screwing everybody else up. and cause a massive pileup when we're going to go. So this is going to be rewind checker, by the way. So we come around to take the green. Half of my mind is still looking up at my quality. I should have just been like, hell with it, let's just go race. And then yeah. that happened, and at this point I was completely befuddled. I just was like, what the hell happened? Because I'm already, half my mind is in the fact that the see, he's blinking now. I don't know if that's him blinking, me blinking. I don't know if the server, the iRacing server was struggling at this point. Something went horribly wrong. And so at this point I'm just like, what the hell happened? And I can see my hood is crinkled all to hell. I figured that I was gonna struggle on a restart, but I'm like 5th at this point. And a few guys have gotten black flags. So what I probably should have done here is I probably should have looked at my standings, seen how many guys were on the lead lap, understood that there would be going to be a bunch of people that were going to be struggling. And then yeah, we're 6th, and then we end up starting in 5th. But yeah, I probably should have had a look at that and then kind of been like, well, but then I don't know, because I ended up being down power. It wouldn't have mattered, I don't think. I wouldn't have been able to fix it long enough to do much of anything, so I just decided to stay out. And then again, it's blinking like crazy. I don't know what was going on. I see Bob ahead of me, his back end is all crinkled to hell. So the one thing I wasn't thinking about was being down power. I was just thinking, because we didn't really get up to speed, right? So I was thinking, all right, well, my arrow's screwed. Maybe my handling would be messed up, but I should, we'll see. And this might just end up causing another massive mayhem. So we come around again, starting in 5th. My buddy Victor's right on my outside in 6th. He had a hell of a fight back himself. We'll see in the replays what happened. And then yeah, here we start, and my truck that doesn't go, just does not go. And so then I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna hold it down low, because at least that's gonna be predictable, right? And watch the world go by, because I have nothing. I have engine damage, so even going in and getting that fixed wouldn't have done anything. Ogle's got to go take a black flag. Dwayne's got to go take a black flag. It was just a mess, that restart. So we're humming around here again. Everybody's flying past us because they have an engine, we don't. And at this point, I'm just hoping not to get killed. Don't run me over. Stay down low. Stay out of the racing groove. At least down the straightaway. And then if I just stay low the entire time, hopefully people figure out that it's because I have no speed. And we get to the line, and we end up finishing in 12th. So really disappointing. So ironically, I was happy finishing 13th with 0x. I ended up finishing 12th with 4x. Would have been much better 13th with 0x. That's 8 points better than 12th with 4x, but it happens. And again, we're not in anything, so just another example of the trucks being unkind to us this year. So let's have a look at the replays. So we'll go back to the beginning of this. So here we are starting in the pits because we've been bad. Yeah. Okay. All right. There's a lot of wall scraping early on. So I've already been through this, but we were muted, so great. Ogle might have given the 76 a bit of a tap there. There's a bit of a blink up there. I feel it sounds a bit loud. It's fine. All right. Dwayne's gonna scrape the wall here a bit. I'm gonna skip a little, just because there's a couple of incidents that don't create cautions. Jeff intimately gets to know the wall. Johnny blows that. Okay. So this is one to look at. I did this last night too. So when Jeff grabs the wall here and makes love to it a bit, Johnny gets by him, which is fine. But he isn't remotely, I mean, he misses this corner so badly. He does such a bad job of holding this. He ends up in the wall. So this is where practice can be really helpful, is understanding, and this is experience just racing the sim, understanding how much you need to brake there in order to keep it down and not come up. He's very fortunate he doesn't take out Jeff there. But I mean, yeah, he wasn't even close to holding that. And then this is Brody. He's gonna scrape, but well, no, he's gonna hit the wall pretty good, but Dwayne's gonna give it a scrape. We don't need that. Brody gives it another tap. This time it caves his back end in. Johnny's gonna visit the wall, and again, pretty good whack. Jeff is going to hit the wall again. Oof. And then get glued to it a bit. Mark, wall. Victor's gonna drift up and catch the wall. Just took a little paint off though, no big deal. Troy. Oh, Troy's gonna say hi to the wall very nicely, and then he's gonna he's gonna wobble a bit after it. Chris, I think it is. Yeah, a lot of new guys in the league. Little scrapey scrape. Brian, I believe he catches the wall with some pretty good fury here. Yep, he really nails the wall, gets stuck to it, and then as a result of that, our boy Johnny comes from a good ways back, because Clay's in there too. So let's just go back for a sec. So Clay Clay basically follows Brian into this, and then almost spins it in front of Johnny here. Does a good job not doing that. I'm guessing he yanked it off the wall and then just kind of overcorrected it. So anyways, Johnny's gonna come in here, and again, completely entitled to do this, because Brian has gotten slow. So Johnny's been in this position before, where he's gone low and he hasn't held the line at all, and he didn't learn from it the first time, because he comes up and does the same thing again and again. This isn't, I apologize, Johnny, but you're not close here, dude. You're not close to holding this, and this time you do get the guy. When you're going from the line down here, and if Brian's not in your way, I'm guessing you're hitting the wall again. We gotta work on some braking points here. I don't know if you were using the brake. If you weren't, you should have been. But yeah, we gotta work on this. If you're gonna go diving underneath, you gotta hold it down there, or you gotta not go diving down there. Those are kind of your two options here, because as a result of this, you come up, you put 24 into the wall, and yeah, I don't know that you're holding that corner at all. Like, I think if Brian's not there, you're hitting the wall. Maybe not, but you're needing the entire track. And then the 124, so that's Chris. Chris is behind all this, so he comes bombing along. He sees an opening. Oh, he got the apron. Okay. So he sees the opening, and in a sense, he kind of does the right thing. He's trying to keep it low so that he doesn't go up into Johnny up there. But he goes just a little bit too low, grabs the apron, which squirrels him. So that sends him up into Johnny. And so that part isn't Johnny's fault. Johnny's realizes he's now up high. He stays up there, and Chris comes up to him because he hit the apron. Okay. So, I mean, if I was in the review committee, and I'm not, Johnny's getting a stone cold penalty there for not holding his line. And I might... I'm probably not doing it to Chris because it doesn't really affect either of them. Yeah, that's just a little... And it's a net code too, by the way. Not that I think net code should really be something that plays into it, but I mean, you can drive a Buick through there. But I mean, it doesn't really cause any damage to either guy. He's able to just keep going, so I probably don't think after that. We probably just keep going. All right. So that's gonna be Johnny there. All right. We get Joe. Just gonna give the wall a tap, maybe more than a tap. Mark's gonna get under him. Hang on. I thought this turned into something. Yeah, so Joe gets that. Mark's gonna get under him. Brian's gonna get under him. And then Mark comes up. Is that because he's clear or because he doesn't hold it? Hard to say. Oh, he's way past him at this point. Never mind. He's way clear. So yeah, he can basically do what he wants here. But Joe's got a bit of a run on him, so he comes down and kaboom. So let's go see what happens with Mark. Mark comes up. I think he's trying to take kind of the racing line, let it kind of go out to the wall, get speed going. He gets close to the wall, and then he definitely turns left and comes down, because I mean that he was on this seam before. Comes down, gets Joe here. Let's see what Joe's line looks like. Joe's line is pretty good. Joe's left tires are staying on this seam here. You could argue he could be lower, but at this moment, he should have enough room, right? Although, you know what? He comes up pretty high for... You've got this lane and this lane. So if you've got 4 lanes here, he's in the 3rd lane. He's only really giving Mark this. Now, you can make the argument, Mark, that's, you know, that's a lane. There's room for a car there. And Mark definitely does come down into this lane. Joe could definitely have given more room. Mark could have stayed straight. I imagine in the review room, I mean, it does look bad that if we go back to Joe's view, or Mark's view, I mean, this does look bad. Like, you're up here. So if you keep on this seam here, you're fine. But I think what happens here is Mark sees the wall. And he's like, let's not hit that. So he just overcorrects away from the wall. And you can see his back end is starting to straighten out. So he's gonna be going straight. He probably also doesn't realize that Joe is high up as he is, or if he might even be there, who knows. But they make contact, and there's, yeah. So the whole thing Joe's hit the wall. Mark gets by him. This is 15th, 16th that they're fighting over. Mark, yeah, probably his entrance is compromised because he's not able to get up as high as he wants. He does drift up for sure. He does struggle to hold this. Then he goes to yeah, I don't know. I think they both could have handled this a little differently. And then I remember this from last night. If we look at Glass, he does a much better job hold it down there, because he keeps his car under control, his truck under control. He keeps the speed down enough that he can hold it down there. These guys are both being pretty aggressive. And so now Glass is here. Luckily for him, they spin away out of the way of him. I don't know that I don't assign, 100% fault to either of those two guys up there. I do think they both could have been a little bit less aggressive in that position. I think that Mark saw an opportunity because Joe hit the wall, which is fine. But I don't think he did a very good job of taking the corner afterwards. And I think that Joe saw him go up high and kind of blow the corner and was trying to get that position back and kind of dove it in there, but again, could have been lower. So I think that one to me is a 50-50. And then yeah, we're in the AstroTurf here. Don't go in the pit. Bad idea. All right. And now here, that one's going to be pretty straightforward. So we've got Jeffrey. Oh, hang on. Maybe not. Oh, Brian turns down on him. Yeah, Brian turns way down on him. Brian's out here. And he just turns right down in front of him. And I don't know that it's reasonable to expect Jeffrey to get out of the gas here. So, the kind of the way I look at this, and the tri-oval's tricky, but this seam, like I wouldn't try to do this 3 wide. So if we've got 2 cars, this seam right here or this line, they're probably a good spot. So the guy who's low stays down in these 2 lanes. The guy who's high stays in these 2 lanes. For me, I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but at the moment of contact, Jeff is just about getting his left tire on this lane, and Brian has come from the 4th lane on the outs, like the most outside lane. He's come down a full lane and a half when they hit. I'm gonna guess he doesn't know Jeff's here, or he thinks he's clear. One of the two. So he ends up just let's go back, let's go over to him. He ends up, as a result of that, so it doesn't really hurt Jeffrey too much, but Brian spins and he's wrecking, but he's not, but he's wrecking, but he's not. And then my boy Victor is behind this. So I'm gonna keep this up so we can see the speed. So at this point here, he's doing 150, which still seems kind of slow to me. But oh, the tires are getting kind of old. Never mind. But he sees the contact happen, so he's already dropping down a bunch. So Victor is a very conservative guy, particularly around wrecks. And so as soon as he sees that, he's I don't know if he's braking, he's definitely lifting. Is that his brakes that's causing the smoke, or is that, no, that's those guys up there. Yeah, so he sees this, he's out of the gas, or he's lifted at least. He was at 150. He's down to 135 now. 132. I mean, he's 127. He's really slowing down here. He's at 115. Like, he's doing everything he can to stay out of this, because I think Victor is thinking there's gonna be a wreck. I don't want to drive into it, right? And so if this was me, I'm more aggressive than Victor is. At this point, I mean, I wouldn't have gotten that slow for a start. It's just, that's me. I'm more aggressive. I'm not. This was a fantastic job Victor did of staying out of an incident. Let's get that out of the way. This 24 here can very easily come right down in front, get crushed. There's a reason why Victor's incident per lap in this series is so much lower than mine. It's partly this, right? Is that he sees these things and he just really backs out. So he's giving Brian all the room in the world here to get himself sorted out. Here's the problem with that. So at this point, he's only doing 100 miles an hour into a corner where you should be hitting this corner doing 160 odd. With new tires, he'll be in the 170s when you get here. He's doing 109. So here he realizes how slow he is, and so he makes the decision to go down onto the apron. Not sure I would have done that personally, but I would have been in the gas a lot sooner. So I might have even, if I would have thought of it, I might have shifted into third potentially to get going again, to get my speed up, and then get into fourth. But because he does this, he ends up having 3/4 of the world pass him. And he's still got to stay slow because now he's on the apron, right? He can't accelerate. And then they end up wrecking up there anyways. So for Victor, that's a tough one because he sees a wreck, slows down like he's supposed to. There's no yellow or anything. He ends up giving up probably 10, 12 spots here, right? If he does what I would have done, maybe he gets wrecked. And, you know, and that's could very easily be why my incident per lap are so high. It's why I started in the pits, right? But I just don't have it in me to just let everybody by like that. So I probably lift a little bit, and then until I see him actually spin, I'm going, I think, is my guess for me. But everybody's different. Everybody has different levels of aggression and different levels of comfort when it comes to that. So anyways, so then yeah, these guys all scatter around. Rick goes low because he wants to avoid what's going on high. He comes up because of Jeff. Ralph is just full bore, it looks like. Oh, no. Yeah, Ralph is just going flat out through here. He's going Days of Thunder style here. He ends up tapping Rick. Ralph is a guy who is not going to give up positions easily, and he's going to take them. And I think the other thing Ralph is thinking is, there's no caution. Everybody's going low. I'll just go high. It's kind of hard to fault him here, to be honest. And then Rick kind of overdoes it, trying to avoid him. So he ends up pulling up right in front of him. And at this point, so right here, Ralph has started slowing down because he's like, oh crap, that guy's there. Gives him a little tap. Doesn't hurt either of them. They keep going. Where was the actual wreck though? Oh, that's right. Jeff gets into the wall. So All right. So they're spinning around all over the place. Jeff gets back into the throttle, although, and he's just got, his handling is all messed up by the looks of things here. He's in the wall. And then yeah. So he kind of, at this point he's fine, but then he turns to the right, hits the wall, bounces off of it, comes down almost out of his lane, and then Lee just decides, you get crushed. But remembering from last night, Lee screened. So Lee is hammering along here, and if we look at his cockpit, he kind, yeah. If Lee really is able to look way forward, he can see here that there's a car up high that's having issues. But he's tucked in behind Ryan at this point. And yeah, okay. He's also got this guy to his inside. So he does move down out of the way, and he does look like he's trying to give Jeff, he's trying to avoid Jeff here, but he can't go too low, otherwise he's gonna get hit by the car over here. So that one's tough. That one's tough. I don't know what I would do if I'd be penalizing anybody there. I feel like this all starts when Brian turns down on Jeff. He does seem to knock his alignment all to hell. So he comes into this corner and just can't hold it, and he's not going very quickly. I was lucky to sneak down underneath there, but yeah, when he wiggles it off the wall there, the one thing is, if you get into the wall and you've got a mountain of people behind you, just stay in the wall, right? Just stay in the wall. Let people get past you, then worry about trying to get it off of there. The way the physics in this game work, particularly in the ARCA car, it's the truck too, though. You'll get stuck on there, and you have to, it's a fairly decent yanking of the wheel that you got to pull to get off of it. And so then you end up doing things like this, where you end up coming right out in front of somebody. And again, Lee's just in an awful spot here. It would have taken some serious skill to avoid all of this. He ends up getting both of them, trying to avoid them. All right. And that's not even a caution. That's the best part of all that. So nothing really here. Mark's gonna scrape the wall a little bit. Crisco, I think, is gonna get the wall a little bit, if I remember right. Oh, no. Now iRacing is starting to show us stuff that isn't really worth watching. Okay, come on. Nothing here. Michael. Okay. I think that was the last kind of incident that didn't bring a caution out, I think. So let's go to the first one. Williams gonna get the wall. Victor isn't gonna do anything here. Crisco's gonna hit the wall a little bit. And then here's the caution. So you've got Tim. Let's go. The guy ahead. We've got Troy. I'll just keep this up. I want to see what the speed is like. Troy does slow down quite a bit for this. Okay. Whereas Tim is hammering in Now the question is this a difference in time? No, shouldn't be. It's possible that Troy didn't take tires on the last well, no, this, have we had a caution yet? No, we haven't. Okay, so there might be a small difference in tires, but it shouldn't be that much. I just think Tim comes up on top of him and was like, oh, you've slowed down quite a bit. And then it accordions into Kevin here. So I think Tim here is trying to keep it off of the 107. It's tough. Now, the issue here, Tim is trying to keep it off of this guy. So he does that by slowing down a bit and turning down a bit to try to miss him. But he's got this guy, Kevin, bombing along underneath him. Now, and this is where one of the things that I've learned and it's helped me get better when it comes to avoiding incidents is whenever I'm in an incident, I look at it and I go, what could I have done differently? What could I have done to avoid this? So what Kevin could have done, and I mean, he could have gotten a bit lower maybe, but I don't know that that's horribly reasonable. Although he does kind of look like he's just taking the normal racing line. So you can make the argument if he's going to try to pass her, he's got to get down there. And he's got to sacrifice his entry and his exit a bit, right? So he could have gone lower, which may have avoided this. There's some netcode again, but the thing is with netcode, guys, there's 43 trucks out here. The simulation is trying to figure out. So, I mean, my latency was around 100 milliseconds the whole race. So it's taking 100 milliseconds for the data to go from my computer to the iRacing server and back. So basically, the simulation's waiting 100 milliseconds, so a tenth of a second for every packet, right? And in that tenth of a second, when you're doing 170 miles an hour, you go a decent distance. So the simulation has to kind of then predict where your car is going to be because it doesn't have the data yet. And because we're going so quickly, that's a problem. So that's where netcode comes from, is it's the simulation trying to predict where you're going to be. When you think about it, we have 43 trucks out here from all over the continent. It's pretty amazing we can even race. But you gotta be, so I think one of the things we gotta do is we gotta be aware of the fact that, yeah, netcode exists, or prediction code, as Nebon likes to call it. And so we gotta give each other a little bit more room, because just because physically on your computer or on your screen there's room there, it might not translate in the simulation, because the simulation might think Tim's really coming down here, right? And in that tenth of a second, while it's waiting for the data, Tim might have turned up a little bit. But I mean, to me, it's difficult to assign fault really on anybody. I am curious why Troy is that much slower, but you can't penalize somebody for taking a corner too slowly, I don't think. And it's not like he just stopped on the track. I think Tim makes a split decision second to try to stay out of it. I mean, he does turn down into the 132. At the same time, the 132 doesn't have this corner, I don't think. No, he's not close to having this corner. So he's just got a massive closing speed on him. So, I mean, the 132 could potentially notice could recognize that Tim has slowed down a bit. Like, there's been a slowdown here. So I think Tim's done a really good job staying off of the car ahead of him, because he's had a fairly decent closing speed too. Yeah, he's catching him at a pretty good pelt here. So he's slowed up to stay off of him. And then here comes Kevin kind of out of nowhere. And he hasn't. And he just clips him from behind. I mean, if I'm assigning fault, I'm not assigning 100% to anybody, but I'm giving a little bit more to the one to Kevin than anybody else. Because you need to learn, you need to be able to slow up to avoid this. And that's experience and just seeing that there's a slowdown here and not going barreling into it. So that sends Tim up there, which takes out Glass. And I think that's it, which is fairly fortunate. And then I just missed it myself, which I was happy about. Okay. This actually got me my lap back because I took the wave around here. Instead of pitting, I decided to go take the wave around. Clay decides it's time for donuts. Why not? For the record, this is your race winner. Under caution, he spins out and wins the race. So it was that kind of race. So yeah, no, he's like, yeah, you know what? Do a donut, and then, yeah, okay, that was fun. Let's go. Good job, Clay. Then we get the restart, and we get this. This is getting so old. Now, where does this happen? Where does this happen? So it's not there. He's fine. What happens here? Okay, he's fine. Okay. Yeah, so without seeing telemetry and anything, it looks like Kevin goes when he sees green. He doesn't wait for Chris to get going before he gets going. As soon as he hits the gas, the car behind him, who is Brian, he starts going. And that's the thing. So when you're towards the front, yeah, you start on green. When you're towards the back or in the middle or anywhere less than about friggin' 8th, you go when the car ahead of you goes. And so if a car ahead of you goes too early, you're screwed. Because he goes, you go, and then he checks, and then you hit him. So he goes. Oops. Yeah. He goes, has to check. Yeah, has to check, and then it just causes guys behind to have to check. And we just have all manner of mayhem here. And actually, you know what? I'm going to say yeah, Michael probably gets a little bit too hard into it there too. We got to be, I mean, we have to be a lot more conservative on starting. There's 43 trucks out here. If we were all, you know, NASCAR professionals, we'd be on top of each other. As soon as the green flag drops, we would hammer the gas and we'd be gone. We're not. We don't have the reaction time those guys have. So you've gotta risk losing a spot just to make sure that we have a clean start. And so yeah, you got to make sure the car ahead of you actually is moving forward before you plow it, right? Not just, you know, the green flag flew, or oh, it looks like, no, actually let him get going before you go, and then we won't have these things. So maybe you lose a spot because somebody else jumps you, but you don't go in the infield here. Okay, Bob scrapes the wall a little bit, and then that's bad. Let's have a look at it from Jonathan's point of view. So Bob's in the wall, and then he completely turns right down. And yes, again, there's net code there, but you've come down from the wall to the bottom lane, and I'm not convinced you're not hitting him without netcode. Yeah, there's a big gap there, but keep in mind we've got 43 trucks out here. The simulation is trying to keep track of 43 trucks on the track, sorry, with varying ping speeds and just all kinds of stuff. So to me, that one's Bob coming down. It bounces Jonathan up when they quote unquote hit, because Jonathan's where he's supposed to be. Then he gets unstable because of the contact that the simulation predicts, and then Bob goes back up into the wall, and we're spinning. And then it gets worse. So what happens with Jonathan here? So he gets tagged a bit. Then he gets tagged again. And he kind of overcorrects it looks like. Like he's out of shape this whole time, and he's like, what's happening? So, but this all starts because Bob comes down on him. And now he just said, I'm at hell with it. I'm just gonna stop right here. That might not have been the best move either. Been in the wall, hit by, you know, everybody except the cute chick in the snack counter, and screw it, done. He just stops. And then under caution here, Victor doesn't do anything. We're gonna have more restart shenanigans here. Yep. So the other thing we're seeing a lot of, and I have to be honest, I don't understand why this happens. My guess is there's a vehicle out here that is not keeping the pace speed correctly, and so pace speed was somewhere around 50 or 55. So we're trying to catch up to get on the bumper of the guy ahead of us. But then all of a sudden there's this big checkup because why? Well, he's doing 64 here, and then all of a sudden comes down to 50. So then Crisco gets him. Yeah. And then it just causes a chain reaction for everybody behind, right? So Dean gets him. Honestly, here, I think Dean needs to pay a little bit more attention there. I think he's got a lot more room. Yeah, he needs to be paying more attention there. All right, because this is so long, let's go to the caution that nobody wanted. Somewhere around here. Oh. He's out at this point, I guess. And Dean comes up and takes out Crisco. Sorry, Dean, that one's pretty cut and dry on you, buddy. So, you're going for the pass. You're entitled to it. You gotta make it stick. You didn't. You took out Crisco. And then Michael's saying thank you for that. And everybody at this point is like, oh, come on. Because we just wanted to finish the race. And Josh most of all, because he was leading. And then... Whoa. Alright, Bruce, you can get out of my way. Good lord. Yeah, we definitely have to get better at this. And then it just all kicks off up front. Josh, you're the rocket. I hate to do this to you, but... Here we go to take the green for the gray and white checker. Josh steps on the gas and spins it, goes sideways, and there are incidents aplenty. Vehicles go everywhere. So we'll go look at it for me because that's what I cared about. So I'm just sitting here and all of a sudden trucks are everywhere and I'm just like, what the hell is going on here? The connection's all messed up and it just... We cleaned out the entirety of mankind there. And then the best part of this, in a sarcastic point of view, is because Josh is the leader and spins it out, Dwayne gets to the line before he does. Ogle passes him low. Black flag. Eddie passes him low. Black flag. I think I might have found my thumbnail here. I'll deal with that later. And then yeah, just trucks get destroyed everywhere. Totally unintentional. I think what's happened there is Josh is like, I gotta get a good start because I got Dwayne on my inside. Josh was the leader, he chose the outside, and that's what ended up happening. So we had 3 guys get black flagged. My truck got mangled. I had no power at the end. Just a really unfortunate turn of events right at the line. I've seen it happen before in this simulation. It sucks, but it happens. So thanks for watching. I apologize that I didn't give you the whole race. I'll be streaming it tonight, so I'll know if I have volume or not. But hopefully that was something that was interesting for you. Feel free to hit the like button, subscribe, all that jazz. I will see you guys back here for the Xfinities. Cheers.